to remind you, once you sign in, quick reminder, folks, about here's our agenda. I want you to understand, and we can talk about the purpose of branding and job search. Why is it so important? We need to start talking about that right up front, because your brand image is really a good starting point for how you're going to be communicating who you are to other people, whether it's in networking or interviewing or negotiating or on written forms or verbal forms. We want to make sure we've got a good, concise way of presenting who we are. So under discovering the brand strategies, it really becomes your headline, letting people know who you are professionally. And by the way, I am picking up still a little bit of static on the phone here from somebody moving probably your microphone around. So if you think it might be you, let's do that *6 and mute the line. So I would like to have a lot of opportunity for discussion today, and I hate to have to mute all the lines. So if you think it might be you or not even sure it might be you, just do a *6. That'll mute your line. #6 will unmute it. I remember the old ad that Sprint had. You can hear a pin drop. Well, we can hear pins drop, water running from any source, dogs barking, cats purring, and everything. So it's a really good idea for channels where you'll be using this. We want to get you comfortable with the idea of talking about who you are. It's not really bragging when you talk about yourself, particularly in job search. It's really showing confidence in your skills and abilities and in who you are professionally. We need to communicate that effectively. I do apologize a little bit. I've got a little bit of a raspy voice this morning. I'm not quite apologize for that up front here. So what is personal branding? Well, here's a nice little dictionary type of definition with this. And, they're always a little staid and uptight in these definitions, but the key part of this is it's a process for setting yourself apart, differentiating yourself from other people, and standing out in the crowd, okay, standing out from others in that crowd. That's what we want to be making sure we are doing. And stop and think of it. When your name comes up in a conversation, social conversation, business conversation, wherever, what are people saying and thinking about you? What's the image that pops up in their mind? When I say Chris or Charlene, and people are talking about you or Dan or any of the others on the call here, what kind of an image is conjured up in their mind? And what do they see about you that's the same as other people? And what do they see about you that makes you a little bit different? One of the key points we want to make sure that we are letting people see not only that we are different, but by showing off the difference in here in a positive way, what can we be marketing about ourselves? We can be marketing our value. Because when you stop and think of brand images of products that you buy them because they are of value to you as well. And Jason, thanks for letting me know that you're here. I really appreciate that, okay? So, folks, we want to make sure that as you get into your job search, that we can create a presence online, face-to-face, that's going to make that strong impression. People are going to remember you for positive things and set you apart from other people, where they will see that their table. So as we talk forward about this, how do we describe ourselves? How do you build your brand image? Let's take a look at our next slide. Well, stop and think about it, folks. I hate to tell you this, but you already have a brand image. Maybe you haven't thought about it that way, but, people think of you in certain ways. That's what we need to stop and ask ourselves, and even ask our friends and maybe even our enemies a little bit how they see us. But, you already have this brand image. And what we want to do and help you with through this series of programs here is help you put together a strong professional brand image about you, so people will get excited about you and the fact that you are a product that's going to help them in some way in their organization. So one of the best ways to start out finding out what people think about you is go out and do a search on Google and Yahoo. And I know it's a little scary to do that, but you'll have a few laughs and you'll have a few uh-ohs as well. But you want to search what that online presence is all about. And then we can work on possibly cleaning it up a little bit. We can go into things like Facebook and Twitter feeds and so on and eliminate some of the wild, crazy stuff there. And then after you land the job, you can put it all back in again. But you want to get a nice, strong professional image. So when you go out like to Google or Yahoo, Google your name, maybe put your zip code in to narrow it down. Because I know if I went out for Richard Moore, there's a ton of Moores all across the country, so I got to narrow it down, or at least find the ones that I like their image better than mine, kind of thing. And also, if you use a nickname, like I go by Dick, so search for that both ways, okay? So see what you can find out there. It's fun to do, and it's exciting. And it's a little scary when you look at some of the stuff and say, wow, all this stuff is online about me? Yeah, there's so much out there in the world today about us. Let's find out what people have out there on us. Then you can start working on building a good professional brand image. Like the second bullet point, posting positive questions or comments in industry forums. When you get into these online groups, we have our LHH Harrison alumni group, which you can join right away. You don't have to wait to be an LHH alum. But when you're in a group like that or any other industrial group that you're in, professional organization online, get out there and participate. Just don't sit there and watch what's going on. Nobody will know that you're out there. And people need to know that you're there. They need to start seeing your name and your brand image out there. So the best way to do that is ask questions and identify yourself. So I could say, hi, this is Dick Moore. I'm an executive career coach at LHH Harrison. Yeah, what do you think about this, folks? Or here's my thoughts on this. But identify yourself and ask questions and comment in these industry forums. Then people will start seeing you becoming a thought leader. I'm going to put that word up here because I think it is so important that people can see you in that context as being a thought leader. Someone who's asking serious questions, contributing seriously to these discussions. Because in all these online groups, there are recruiters and HR people lurking around in the background looking for people who would be possible good candidates for positions in their companies or companies that they're trying to place people in if they're a recruiter. So you want to be known, get your name out there so your name pops up every day. Follow your industry gurus, whoever they are. Follow them on Twitter, follow some of their blogs, and then retweet their posts. That's an easy way to do it, so you don't have to be creative and come up with the idea. You just pass their ideas on. That shows people that you're paying attention to what's going on in your industry and in your profession. Okay, we want to get your LinkedIn account certainly updated on that. Get referrals. It's easy to get referrals for LinkedIn. Go out and ask people if they give a little recommendation or referral for you. And one of the nice things about LinkedIn is that you might want to gather 10 or 15 different referrals, and you can rotate them around. So you can put 4 or 5 up this week. The next week, take 2 of them down and add 3 more new ones in to replace those and add an extra one. So you can keep rotating around. So when people get in and out of your LinkedIn accounts on different days, they may get different bits of information about you. Keeps your LinkedIn account a little bit on the exciting side as well. Okay, and then getting back into like Facebook and Twitter, you might want to go back to your friends and tell them, hey, I'm in job search, so we got to clean up our act a little bit, okay? So ask them to take down certain pictures and posts about things. When you're standing on your head in the beach with all your family and friends, maybe you want to take that down until you get that next job. Then you can put them what's going on, because suddenly if your Facebook account starts looking very professional and serious as opposed to a lot of fun, they're going to wonder what's happened to you. So let them know that you're still the same person, but you're in career transition, and see what they can do to post things up to help you as well. Colleagues, past coworkers, even past boss, they can put things up about you. Those would be very helpful. Yeah, get rid of those embarrassing photographs, as somebody said. Let's get those off there. Yeah, and some that stop and look at some of the stuff there. Maybe at the time it looked okay, but maybe afterwards you shouldn't keep them up here. Okay, so let's see. Jason's made another comment here. People should have their Facebook account secured so they don't have to worry about embarrassing photographs. That's what you were saying on that. Yeah, so you might want to go through that, secure that, so other people aren't going to put in things on your account that you don't want them to have in that. Okay, so ask family and friends to do that. You can start a simple blog and write your positive thoughts on an issue. You become a guest blogger as well. And, of course, when you're into LinkedIn and other groups and areas like that, participate, ask for recommendations, get recommendations back. Now, I'm going to give you the name of a website. I'll be honest with you, I've never used this. That's because my reputation is so impeccable. And if you believe that, I've got some watches to sell you and some land in Central Park. But here's one that's been recommended by folks, reputationfinder.com. So I'll just put that up. You can check it out. I don't know whether it's good or bad. I don't know anything about it other than some people have come in and said that's a good place to go and find out and help secure and clean up your potential brand image out there today, if you want to try that. Just take a look at it. So in essence, what we want to do, folks, is 2 things. Tone down our social me, okay, and then pump up the professional you as well. Okay, think of that. We want to sort of slow down that social stuff and really build on the professional. And when you land the job, put all the fun stuff back into it. Okay, any questions along the way, please holler out here. Lowell asked an interesting question. We're just getting to your answer here, Lowell. Really good timing here. Ask a question, I'm not on Facebook. Is it needed? Well, 23% of people are going to be looking for you out there in terms of hiring managers. The key area that's needed is 98.2%. I love that point, too. 98.2% of hiring managers, recruiters, they're going to be looking on LinkedIn for you. And you want to definitely be there, okay? You want to definitely be there, because if you're not, you're going to lose a lot of credibility, and you want a good, positive, strong, professional brand image than that. Because, your brand image becomes your headline. It sets the pace it sets the theme for what people are expecting to find when they meet you personally. Now, these other areas, Twitter, Glassdoor, this Glassdoor.com is a great place to go out and find information. A couple of you I know haven't heard of that, but check it out. Just go out to Google and Google Glassdoor and see what it's all about. There's a lot of good information that can help on job search as well. You can get thoughts about different companies. There's some salary information on it as well. And, of course, it's a place where you want to participate in some of the discussions on there as well. But these areas like Twitter, Glassdoor, and Facebook have been increasing over the years in their popularity for recruiters and hiring managers to look up candidates just like yourself. What will typically maybe happen with these sites is I meet you and I have a first interview, I like you. As I start getting further into the interview process, the HR people are going to reach out to these other sites and start seeing what else they can find out about you. Recruiters are like your nosy neighbor. They want to find out everything they can about you, because that's their benefit, to learn about you, so they make sure they're going to make a good fit, because that's what they're trying to do, is make a good fit culturally, individually, with people like yourself, not only in terms of skills and abilities, but are you going to fit in with their organization? Are you going to be a good person to be on the team with? Are they going to like working with you? Or are you going to like working with them? So they're all checking these things out. So let's work, on LinkedIn. Don't forget, with LinkedIn, we have two basic, I'll do a little paid. Now, what makes a good brand here? Let's everybody think of a brand that you know, and let's just put that brand up on the chart here, okay? And WIIFM, okay? So, WIIFM, what's in it for me? Just jot that down. What's in it for me? That's what people are looking for. When they see a brand product, what's that brand product going to do for them? Okay, and Julie's got a great point here. These companies don't always like the part of the branding that makes their names generic. How do we set ourselves apart positively without looking like everybody else? And that's really going to be our goal. We're going to work towards that, Julie, as we work towards helping you get started on building your brand image in here. So we need to stop and think about ourselves. Again, what is it you could bring that's special to the table here? What's in it for me? If I hire you, whether it's Julie or anybody else on the call, Charlene or Carol or whoever, what is the special things that you're going to bring to that job? We all have labels like quality engineer, administrative executive assistant, accountant or whatever, but what makes you a little special? What do you bring that little extra edge that sets you apart from some of these other people? We need to start thinking about ourselves. Now, I'm going to get you started on that in a minute here. Okay, but also once we start thinking about who we are, we want to make sure that we are consistently getting that information across, whether when we're using Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. Little tiny things can really help create that brand image. For example, think about your email that you're using for your job search. And I hope you're not using ones I've seen recently like Tennis Chick and Hot Rod Charlie. You want a professional email. But a nice email that would also help market your brand would be something like this. I could say dickmoore.executivecoach and then at gmail.com or whatever. Now, that's not my actual email, but I could do something like that adds in, put my name in there, I could put it run it right together, and then put a dot in, and then put my professional brand image label in there. What's the label? Engineer, executive assistant, whatever. So that's one way of just every time somebody gets an email from you during your job search, your brand label is going to be right out there on top of that. And they're going to say, hey, here's that crazy guy, Dick Morgan. He's that executive coach. And they'll say the same kind of things about you without the word crazy, hopefully. Okay, so we want to make sure we're consistent in using this and getting that out to everybody here. And that repetition really helps. Think of it. Years ago, there was a great management guru, still very popular, Tom Peters. And he wrote about that we are really our own company. He referred to us as each individual as like the company name is Me Inc. That's you. That's your company, and that's you and your brand. And so we really need to make sure we're communicating what Me Inc. is all about. Okay, and the harder you work at your brand, the better payoff you're going to get, because people will really recognize you for that uniqueness in your brand image. Well, you have to think of different things that make us unique here. We'll work on that in a few minutes here. So building your strategies. Know yourself. What differentiates yourself from other people? How can you differentiate yourself from other people? When somebody asks you, what do you do as a quality engineer? What do you do as that accountant? What do you do as that executive administrative assistant? What do you do that you think is something a little bit special about you, one of your key strengths and so on here? Okay? So, and then we need to make sure we are communicating this. And again, folks, it's not bragging. Okay? It's letting people know who we are. It's showing confidence in ourselves and in our brand itself. And we're going to use that social media as effectively as possible here. Okay? Yeah, and let's see. Well, Susan, I'm not quite sure what you want me to do with this, but yeah, you've got your name.
No, I was just saying that you can edit your LinkedIn, your URL to LinkedIn, because sometimes it has
right. I didn't see the message above the link here. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can set up your public URL. I was wondering. Okay, Susan's sending me all this LinkedIn links here for herself here. But yes, you can edit your LinkedIn URL. They give you that one with all those crazy numbers and stuff at it. You want to get rid of that and come up with something. And she just added her name in, but again, she could now add her name and her professional title. You know, that brand image, whatever your role is, Susan, in life. You could add that to it as well if you wanted to. All right? Now, I know these little circles are a little hard to see here, but we need to start thinking about who we are. And in job search, I am a great believer in making lists, okay? I think it really pays off to take the time and write some things down. So think about, what are your special talents, okay? Business kind of talents. Well, you may want to add up some hobby talents in there as well. You never know when some of those things can come up and be helpful in a conversation. But start making a list about what your special talents are. So start with that. And then let's go back and think of times when you really felt you did your best. And what was unique about those times? What kind of projects was it that you were working on? What kind of tasks? And what were some of the skills that you used to help make that, you know, a very successful event that you worked on? And these can be both from jobs and community activities that you're involved in. You know, maybe you were volunteering on a fundraiser or something like that, and you really excelled in a certain area. What were the things that helped you excel? So we can make a couple lists out here. And then this last bullet, become more self-aware when you're performing certain tasks. When you stop and think of that project that was really successful, what was it that you did that helped contribute to the success of that project? Think of things, you know, sometimes you work on a task, you start in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the next thing it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you haven't eaten anything for lunch. What was going on? What was exciting about that project? What made it exciting to you, and what were you contributing to that task or that project? You know, even can be something you're doing at home, a community event or something like that. Just stop and think, when I really got into this kind of thing and really worked at it, you know, at the end of the day, I wasn't tired or exhausted. I just really felt exhilarated because we got it done. Think of those things, and then what were the skills, abilities, and qualities about you? Okay, so when time passes quickly, ask yourself, why did it pass so quickly? Okay, what are your unique skills when you're performing at your best? You know, what were the things that make you that best performer here? All right, so let's get to work on this. I want everybody to jot up something here. You can also drop in the chat box. I'll put it up for you here. Everybody put up at least one personal attribute about you doing these things, but I also am good at it, right? Communication, strong communication skills, team builder twice in here, logical, innovative, open-minded. Look at all the qualities you're thinking of here, and we're just getting on. Okay, comprehending complex issues, that's great as well. Super, look at these things. Loyal. Here, award-winning, I like that. Leverage past experience for future success, great. And think of it, if you're talking to people, okay, so this is why we need these. We can build these into our conversation. We can put them on our resume. We can talk about it in our LinkedIn profile. These are all qualities about you that we want to get across to people. All right, so let's take this another step forward here. Let me just move my slide forward here. Let's keep working on this. We're working towards a goal here of a good branding statement for yourself. Now, I want everybody to take out a piece of paper or flip over one, whatever, and I want you to do three things actually. I want you to write down what your brand image title is. Are you a quality engineer? Are you executive coach? Are you an accountant? What are you professionally? Who are you professionally? Just write that down. That's the easy part. The next part's also easy. What makes you the same as other people in that same kind of professional area? Okay, what do you do that's the same? List out 2 or 3 items. And then the other piece of the column here is what do you do that's a little different than other people in your professional area? Okay, so who am I? What do I do that's the same as everybody else? 2 or 3 items there. And what do I do that's a little different? Take a minute and think about this, because then I want some people to share some of this information with us, just so we can get a feeling for what we're doing here, moving it forward here. And while you're doing that, I'm going to finish checking out attendance here, so I'm going to just quiet down a little bit. And if there's anybody who's just on the phone only, that's going to be part of our message. So let's move forward here. Let's start putting all this together now. So I want everybody to, again, take out another sheet of paper or on the bottom of the last one you're working on, and let's just fill in the blanks. I want everybody to take a couple minutes. I want everybody to take the time to do this. After today's session, we can polish it up, smooth out the corners and so on, get it in a nice form, but let's just start filling in the blanks. And then we'll get some volunteers to share yours with us as well. All right, so everybody just take a minute or two and do this as well. All right, just fill in the blanks. And again, this is just start of this brand image statement. You'll be able to polish it up afterwards. So again, I'm still here, folks. And we're doing really well, so let's keep it up here. Doing a great job today, folks. And again, we're just, this is a rough draft, so you'll be able to change this afterwards, modify it, improve it, in essence, after we get through here. I'm still here, folks. I know I keep saying that because I know sometimes people say, where'd you go? Okay. Take another minute or two here. Think it through. And after the session, you'll be able to fine-tune it as well. I do have a attendance question. Somebody signed in with the letters M-O-R-L-I and some numbers. Could you drop in the chat box for me who you are? I haven't quite figured out which person you are. I think your last name starts with O, I think. I figured it out. Just got it. Okay, that's one of my strengths. I'm clever at the last minute here, just when I gave up. All right, I've got figured out who you are. Thanks very much. And Richard.
Hi, it's Carol.
Hi, Carol.
I can give you what I've put as my branding. It doesn't meet all of your format, but...
Well, let's just hear what you got.
Okay. Bilingual executive who demonstrated global success in business management, organizational leadership, and strategic planning in the aerospace industry. Goal-oriented team visionary who has an extensive history of exceeding business objectives by developing and maximizing human capital. Proven ability to lead, mentor, manage, and negotiate at all levels in different cultures. Effective decision maker with an exceptional knowledge of financial budgeting and controlling, meeting corporate business objectives. Very adaptable, organized, and developed management skills.
Okay, a lot of great information about you. It's probably a little bit, from a branding statement standpoint, it's a little bit on the long side. it reads a little bit more about like the positioning statement. I'm going to talk about the differences in a few minutes because it's telling me a lot. It's really a lot of detail. What a great background you have. And it is a challenge now to come back and say, okay, so we know who you are. You're this bilingual executive. But what is your specialty? Let me just ask you to fill in the blanks as we walk her through this, okay? Because that was a nice overview of who you are. So let's just fill in the blanks together here. So you're this bilingual executive, okay? And what's your specialty?
Global outsourcing and BPO.
Especially in helping, what kind of companies and organizations you work with?
It can be all different types of organizations.
Okay. So especially in helping organizations do global outsourcing and achieving what? Achieving their end goals in global outsourcing. Maybe that's part of that.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
And help them achieve their, reduction in costs, their global costs.
Okay. And how do you do that?
By analyzing what they currently do, outsourcing work that is like menial tasks, leaving the more complicated and advanced tasks with the current company, but mundane, repetitive type stuff to outsource.
Other places, right? Now, why have you been successful? You've been successful because of what?
I've worked on a lot of these projects from due diligence to go live. I've done a lot of consulting in that area also.
So it's based on your depth of experience across all these multiple projects, right?
I've lived overseas in
unique. Yeah.
Monitoring and the startups and go lives of BPOs and outsourcing.
All right. So it didn't take you. You had that nice positioning statement in here. Maybe a shade on the long side, but then it wasn't that hard to fill in these blanks when you stop and think about it this way. Thank you for letting me work this through with you on that. And what a nice background you have. But again, what's unique about me, I've lived and worked overseas. I've done these things in these different ways, and that's what we want to get across to folks. Thank you for getting us started on that, Carol. How about one other person to come in here?
This is Julie.
Julie, okay. We've been chatting back and forth a lot with Julie today. So, Julie, fill in the blanks here.
I am a scientist, and my specialty is solving technical challenges to achieve business objectives. I do this by understanding the overall business strategy, effectively communicating with stakeholders and customers, and working with teams or leading teams to implement creative and compliant solutions to technical challenges.
Okay, so why have you been so successful?
That was why I've been successful. I'm sorry, that was my success statement, leading teams for creative and...
Okay, and the unique element about you? Julie, are you still with me? Not sure, maybe we lost Julie here. Okay, I just wanted to go back and hear that unique piece if we can. Let's get one other person to come in.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah, who's this? First name?
It's Chris.
Okay, Chris, so fill in the blanks.
Okay, I'm a proposal and sales specialist, and my specialty is helping sales teams win business. I do this through collaborating closely with them and helping them identify client need and aligning their messages to it. I've been successful because of my attention to detail and creativity. What is unique about me is that I am able to tandem analytical planning and high levels of creativity.
Okay, off to a good start here. And Julie's just saying not sure what happened. Thanks very much for that, Chris, by the way. Thank you for that. Okay, so Julie got kicked off and is trying to get back in on the phone here. All right, so I think we're off to a good start. And don't be afraid to, I hesitate a little bit to use the word hype, but don't be afraid to use some really neat key words that do help set you apart from other people. Because what we heard today, I think each one of you could add some uniqueness to the way you were saying this, just to make you a little bit special. Remember, that's what we're trying to do, is make sure we're a little bit special on that. Okay? So let's go forward to our next slide here. So we're going to talk this through sometimes with people. Let's say you're having a conversation. We sit down at a table in a cafeteria someplace, and you introduce yourself and start out by saying I'm a project manager focused on software projects and financial services. and, getting them, making sure they get done on time, however you would say this. And then if you're in conversation, you could turn to that person and say, what do you do? So when we're meeting people, networking with folks, at a networking meeting, we're volunteering for some social event in your community or some fundraising event or something like that, you're meeting people. This is how you can have that kind of conversation. I've been successful, and let people know, I've had a really pretty good track record in my career here. I've been successful because of this. And, if you don't like to say my exceptional analytical skills, if it's just meeting someone for the first time, you can come up with other words that you're going to be comfortable with, okay? But it doesn't hurt to, I've got some really in-depth analytical problem-solving skills, or, one of my successes is based on my reputation being very analytical and coming up with unique things. We've heard a few of these words when people are reading through their draft of their brand statement here, and then explain why. And then you can have this kind of conversation. But you can just see, if forgetting the orange lines in here, just going through this, you see how easy it is to talk about somebody. If I said to this person, tell me who you are, well, walking through this, so this is filling in the blanks that we just looked at, and then using words like what's unique about. So because when you say, I've got, this is what's unique about me, I'm going to wake up and say to myself, what is it they're going to tell me that makes them unique? Okay, so these are some words that you can wake up that listener, wake up that interviewer, wake up that recruiter that's talking to you. So again, we can take the fill-in-the-blank approach here, and then we can polish it up as you move forward with this. So what we want to do is figure out who we're talking to and how much information they need. If you're talking to your neighbor, your neighbor maybe knows that you worked at company XYZ, but at the same time, they may not really remember what you did there. So it doesn't hurt to give them some information, but you don't necessarily need to get into a lot of technical detail. But a nice brand statement would be very appropriate for them as well. And then as you're getting into industry people here, further into your networking contacts, and even down to the hiring manager, we want to make sure that we are really highlighting things that are going to get them excited. We want them like Pavlov's dog. We want them to sit up and salivate over the qualities that you are talking about yourself. And we're going to tailor this, because if you're talking to me and I'm interested in the quality of work, then you want to emphasize some things about quality. If you're meeting with my brother-in-law or something like that, and he's more interested in the financial side, then you talk about your budgeting and being able to bring in target projects and tasks under budget and so on, because you're going to focus it a little bit on what's going to get them excited, what are they looking for from you. So that means when we're talking to people, particularly from an interviewing standpoint, we need to understand who these people are and where they're coming from. What are some of their interests? So that's where your research and networking pay off so much here. So when we talk about branding here, these are things you're going to use it on your resume. We'll talk about the difference between a brand image and a positioning statement in a second here. You're going to use it on your social media, LinkedIn, your marketing plan. That's your page one. If you haven't built a marketing plan, let's get out and do that. We've got a great WebEx on that. Of course, in networking, the smart conversation, the S is summarizing who you are. Guess what? That's your brand image. Okay? And you go on to CRN to find out more. But it's summarizing who you are, sharing a plan, asking questions, getting referrals, and trading information. That's that SMART script. And in the interviews, everybody's going to ask you the question, as I just said. And in correspondence, use that signature line. Susan West dot whatever your profession is, okay, at your Gmail. So how do you see yourself? How do others see you and your brand? But make sure, don't be shy about this. Ask other people, what were my strengths? When we were working on this project together, what were some of the things that I did that contributed to the project the best? And you might even ask them, what did I do that maybe distracted you? You want to find out that as well. It's up to you on your comfort level in doing that. But get that information, and then together we can build that brand. Now, positioning statement and branding statements. The branding statement, I think the best way to think about that, it's the essence of who you are. The positioning statement is the essence of what makes you who you are. Okay, so when we were listening to our lady earlier on, when I said her statement was more like the positioning statement because she was getting into very good quality information about details, skills, abilities, expertise areas that she has. But then as we work backwards into that branding statement, we got it more into this kind of a context here. on the resume, they want this extra information about, I'm good at building productive relationships, resolving complex issues, being strategic here. Here, I'm just trying to give a nice overview. So it also helps, too, I think, when you're in interview situations. Because in the interview, they've got your resume with your all-powerful, excellent positioning statement on it, right? And so you don't want to repeat that. You don't want to sit there and have them memorize this and just repeat it like a record, but talk me through this. And don't be afraid to say, I'm a resourceful person. Again, it's showing confidence in yourself, and in the interview situation, confidence breeds confidence. So the branding statement is an overview of who you are. It's the essence of who you are professionally. This is the essence of what makes you who you are as well. Now, you're going to use your branding strategies on all the different social media sites out here, and you actively want to do that. Build it into your LinkedIn profile. It's going to be your headline in there. Make sure the rest of the profile supports that as you move forward on that. Now, promoting your brand on social media, keep a list of keywords. This is a great idea here. Remember, I'm a great believer in lists. Keep a list of keywords that you can then use in social media when you're referring to yourself. And, have a variety of words so you're not always using the same phrases, but make it a little different each time, but still getting those key points across here. Okay, build that compelling profile, okay? When you think back what you've been doing over the past 10 or 15, that's who you are today. 20 years ago, that was okay, but, people are looking for what's recent and relevant here. So this is where you're going to tailor it a little bit to a potential employer here. And get on these other groups out here, your industry groups, join the LinkedIn groups and so on, and then be active in them. Let people know who you are. This is Dick Moore, Executive Coach, Lee Hecht Harrison, and here's my thoughts on this topic, or here's a question I want to ask people. Okay, follow companies on LinkedIn and share what you like. That's where that little like feature, your name shows up that Dick Moore liked this or Sam Smith liked that or whatever. Add hashtags, help others out. Don't ask for a job in all these contacts here. Just let people see who you are. And then you can use LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook to help find job leads as well. Now, just before we wrap up here, social media sites here, job seekers are in the blue here, and pardon me, that's you in the blue, and the employers are the yellow. So what's happening here is employers are out there very active in Facebook and LinkedIn, and at the same time, people like yourself aren't as active in it as the employers are. So you want to make sure you realize where these people are looking for you. Here's Twitter and so on. So make sure that you are getting actively involved in these areas so your name's going to pop up on their radar. Now, I mentioned this earlier, including the signature line, okay? Put your name in, on your email, put your name down, and then put your brand image signature line underneath that, and then you put your contact information. As I mentioned in your email address, it's not too bad to put your first name, last name, dot, what your professional area is. If it's this long, you'd have to shorten it up a little bit, and then your email address. But all correspondence, emails as well. Do this today, right after we finish. Go back and fix that signature block on your email so you don't forget to do that. Because that's just a little extra, again, it's just a quick reminder of who you are. That's how you get that brand image out there. Now, you also want to get some business cards for yourself. I would do a combination of paper business cards down here. Vistaprint, I think the last ad I saw was $9.99 for 500 cards. You can go to Staples, get them back in 3 hours if you want. But also, you can come back afterwards and check out these on electronic business cards as well. But I think you really need to have both because not everybody's going to be adept at picking up a online card like a QR code kind of card. But you should have them as well. Because, again, it's helping get that brand out there whenever you quickly need it on that. So we got some site addresses to help you over here on the right. Okay, so your brand distribution, every chance you get. You don't have to put a billboard up in front of your house, but, there was a candidate once in Hartford, Connecticut that put up a billboard, and, boy, it hit the 6 o'clock news, and within 2 weeks she had a job. A pretty expensive way to go, but you do it more subtly here or more directly, social media, your networking meeting, face-to-face meetings. Let people know who you are when you're meeting these people. Introduce yourself. So when you meet somebody new now, just introduce yourself using part of your brand image in that introduction process here. Okay, so next steps after today, folks, work on identifying your personal brand. Create that brand, okay? Work on your brand image and test it out with other people, other colleagues here, and then be consistent in using it across all these different platforms, and starting with LinkedIn and then work backwards into Facebook and Twitter and Glassdoor, some of these other ones, and Twitter and blogs and so on. Be genuine, be real about yourself. Don't overstate things, but be confident in yourself, and don't be afraid to be confident. Let people know who you are. Now, these are other WebExes that will really help you as well. Communication strategy, that'll help you build your positioning statement. Okay, that's the essence of what makes up your brand. And also LinkedIn, networking with LinkedIn, of course, your marketing plan as well. Those are great WebExes. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We had a really great session today, a lot of good interaction and input from folks that makes this a much richer session. I want to thank all of you that were open